Чи я вже повернувся, то можемо просто переключитися на англійську. Okay, so this part will conduct in English, and that's my great pleasure to welcome Father Oleh Kindiy, my former professor from the Catholic University, a person who dedicated his life, his heart, his work to promote knowledge among Ukrainians, to promote theology among the nation. And I would say Professor Kindiy is one of the most prominent people whom I know so far. And I invite Professor to share his expertise, I would say. I will use this term. And the conversation I would like to conduct here dealing with resilience and spirituality, because all of us know that one of the prominent pillar in resilience is spirituality. So I would like to ask you, Father, when I speak about Christian spirituality, what does it mean actually in general? Do we speak about some practices? Do we speak about some feelings? Do we speak about some emotions, or do we speak about relationships?
Well, this is a very good question. Thank you, Nazari, for inviting me and the opportunity to share some of my thoughts on this topic. I think spirituality, the strength of spirituality is that it's not compartmentalized in one area. Sometimes we think about mind being here and our emotions being here, our body being here. Spirituality in modern sense, both in secular and religious context, because the whole notion of spirituality is quite modern. It's something that emerged into at the end of 19th century, 20th century. Now it's very popular, that it involves the whole person. So all the aspects of our life. So that's why spiritual practices, it's practices of food, it's practices of breathing, it's practices regarding our mindset, our belief set, and so on and so forth. So it's not just a certain aspect of my life. Spirituality actually involves my entire being, so to say. And so when we are talking about resilience, we are talking about the strength of life in the times of war, and we are looking for spiritual roots or spiritual instruments to survive. We have to speak not only about some intellectual things, but it involves our physical way of life, our way of how we sleep, how we eat, how we communicate, what we read, what emotional what emotions we are breeding in our life, what we are controlling or not able to control, because these are all different aspects of our life, and it reflects in our spirituality. There's a notion, there's this understanding that every person is spiritual. In that sense, we can say that all people are believers. It's a different thing, what do people believe in and what kind of spirituality is there. But when we get down to the bottom of all the things, when we communicate to people, I'm as a priest, I'm able to speak to people of all kinds of spheres, not only the religious. There are people who coming to church who are just searching for meaning of life, or they're in the times of stress and they can't handle it, and they've tried everything. They've been to some psychology treatment, they've been to all kinds of things, and they're still thirsty for meaning, and they come sometimes even to church. And that's when we start talking, and we're then trying to look at different aspects of human life and to try to put those strings together, because one of the most distressful and painful aspect of our life is when we feel broken. When we feel broken, the word holy, saint, means that you're holistic, you're together. But when you are unholy, so to say, when you're broken, then you feel a lot of pain, and not just physical pain. Because physical pain, we know, we can take medicine, and we can take care of the physical pain, but the emotional pain, and also sometimes there's such a thing as intellectual pain, when we can't overcome certain questions. Why is this happening to us? What is tomorrow, or what's going to happen after I die? Is there anything? All these questions come in, and that's where spirituality comes in, and religious experience, religious spirituality, religious practices have a lot to offer, but we really have to um, be able to distinguish between rituals, which we don't really understand how they work, and the meaning of those rituals, the symbols behind them. As once we are able to unpack the meaning of words, for instance, of certain religious practices, then things are exploding. Just two quick examples. Basic prayer that we have to God. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, and so on and so forth. Just the first two words, our Father. This is, it's been commented by different scholars and everything, but the main message behind these two words is that I'm not alone. There is someone who I can relate to, and this is a father figure that has a power over me to protect me and to embrace me and to give me strength, so and so forth. So when I say our Father, then I feel a sense of community. I'm not alone again, and there is a connection to someone who is mine. This is so important to understand that when there is this feeling of brokenness, then there's disconnect. But once we are reconnecting with our spiritual core, reconnecting with the source of life, then we are able to reconnect to the people around us. Another quick example, if I may, one of my favorite prayers. I come from a Greek Catholic tradition, and one of the most popular prayers that you have is to Our Lady. Our Lady, our Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. So when I say Hail Mary, um, again, this is a connection to the person that I'm talking to, and in Greek, Haire, or in Ukrainian, it's Bogorodice Radуйся. There's this word to rejoice. This is something that Gabriel spoke to Mary when he appeared during the Annunciation scene, and there is a sparkle of joy. Imagine when you are full of distress, imagine that you are full of um, fear, you have no meaning of life and everything, and at some point when you come together and you are reconnecting with yourself, and you say rejoice, there is a chance that there is a sparkle of joy will hit your mind, hit your heart, and you will realize that your life is not meaningless. There is actually a beam of light. There is a bird singing. There is a beautiful flower next to you. There is something beautiful. Even in the times of war, there is something beautiful around you that you can rejoice about. You reconnect with yourself. You understand your life is meaningful, and you're able to have this positive spiritual experience of rejoicing despite all this nonsense that is around you, all this meaningless bombing and death that you're observing. It's hard to be joyful in times of war, but it is extremely important. And spiritual practices, we can go on and on, actually give us a key how to do that. And that gives us the strength to survive, to be resilient, and to be full of energy to rebuild your life, rebuild life around you, rebuild the relationships with the people who are still there, and even the relationship with the people who passed away. And you have this understanding that there's this connection, invisible connection, spiritual connection with the people who are already passed away, that you can talk to, you can pray for them, and you can receive, so to say, their reciprocity, because you understand that they're already in the realm of God and they can pray for you. So yeah, spirituality has a lot to offer today, to even in times of war.
Thank you for such a deep explanation and the wonderful examples you gave us. My next question is, you just mentioned the war resilience and the sense of joy, actually. Well, how it's possible from Christian perspective to remain, let's say, to have this sense of joy, this feeling of joy, despite everything that is happening around, especially right now in Ukraine, when the missile is striking the places all over the country. We have blackouts, like 10, 15 hours per day in some regions. And you encourage us, at least while you were staying and sharing your thoughts with the audience, to look for this sense of joy in such a horrible situations that we have right now, in Ukraine. So my question is, how it's possible from Christian perspective to preserve this sense of joy, this feeling of joy in such horrible conditions or circumstances?
Well, thank you. I will try to do my best. First of all, pain and suffering is also important. Joy is not an escape from pain. It is important to have tears, to cry, to show sympathy to those who lost their loved ones. In my family, we have a lot of people who we've mourned, we've lost. I've been to many funerals. So when I say that we have to be joyful, it's not to disregard or to downplay the meaning of suffering. Suffering is extremely important, but suffering and pain has to have a limit. This is important to understand, that it's not something that controls all my life. It's only one part of my life, and I have to go through this experience of mourning and pain and sympathy and empathy and all these important things to understand the precious moment of life. So I am alive, and I'm thankful to God that I am alive. There is a certain reason why I'm alive. Very often, some of the soldiers they say, "Well, I wish I was dead and not my colleague. I would love to give my life instead of the life of my beloved one." So this is very important. But it is also important to be able to cherish life. And three fundamental virtues that Christianity is constantly speaking about from the very beginning of Christianity is faith, hope, and love. Faith, hope, and love. Faith is actually on that level of standing before the unknown. Yes, there is this brutality of war. There is this brutality of death, and but I have a sparkle of faith that perhaps this is not it. All my life is not just suffering. There is something beyond this experience of suffering, and this faith gives me the sense that I'm standing on the ground firmly. I'm not going to escape. I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to disregard. I'm not going to downplay the problem. But I will believe that there's God who controls history, and He has a certain meaning to everything, however difficult and sometimes irrational it sounds. But there is a hope. Well, faith gives hope. that there is this meaning. You will say, what is the meaning of dying? I don't know. What is the meaning of children suffering and crying? I don't know. But I have hope that there will be time when everything will be explained. And there is more to faith and hope, that in Christian belief, well, two realities. One reality is that there is a resurrection. So a concept of resurrection is that we will all wake up. We will all meet again. So our connection that was broken will be reestablished. We will be able to hug each other. This is the this strong faith that is described in the book of Maccabees. I know that some Christian groups don't read this book carefully or regard it as apocryphal for the Protestant especially, but for the Catholic Church and for the Orthodox Church, it's also a revealed book, and there is this kind of a exposition of faith. Okay, you Greeks, you invaders, you can kill my body, but I know. That's one of the Maccabees. That's what they are saying. I know that there will be time when God will rebuild my body. So please go ahead, cut off my hands, my head, do anything what you want with my body. But I know that God will reconstruct me, rebuild me. And that we also see in the life of Jesus. He is hanging on the cross. We also don't understand rationally why he did that. But when we look at the crucifixion, then we can relate our pain to the pain of Christ, to the stations of the cross. That's why this is a very powerful tradition in the Catholic and Orthodox Church, the Stations of the Cross. Protestants also have something similar when they reflect on the life of Christ and they try to imitate the life of Christ. But in that moment, when we stand in solidarity of pain, then we have, that's what St. Paul, the apostle, he says that once we die, we also, just like Christ did, and Christ is resurrected, and so we resurrected. And so there is this hope that our life will be brought back again. And that's not just a thought for the future, unknown future, but this is something that changes my life today. I am a person of life. I know that despite anything, I will live once I feel this embrace of God that really gives me the meaning that I will not understand maybe 100%, but there is this inner trust that I will live. My life has meaning, and that trust then later is translated to the people that surround me, because one of the horrible things that we live through the war, we lose trust to each other. Of course, it's hard to reestablish this trust, but the spiritual practices give us wisdom to understand who can we trust and who we shouldn't trust. And let's start with those who we decide to trust, because without that connection, we will not be able to survive. And that through that trust, through that hope, through that understanding of my meaning here and now, I will slowly experience the moment of love, the moment that I decide to live, I decide to love, I decide to be what you asked me earlier. I decide to be joyful. I decide to be filled with, well, a secular word would be optimistic, but optimism is something self-reflected. But what I mean is this optimism that comes, this sense of hope that comes from experience. There are people who are ready to help. There are people who are helping me with my medicine and who want to talk to me. They want to simply spend time with me. And once we are communicating with each other, then the sense of love comes in, and love heals everything. Love is the foundation of joy, because when you're loved, then you understand that you're strong, that you understand that you have a meaning, that you're not just a wasted person, but there is something that will give you strength to live on, and then share that with others, because love is not just intellectual decision. Love is an action. I extend my hand of help. I would like to hug you. I would like to share my life with you. I would like to share bread with you and my time with you. And then this exchange of life begins, and life becomes strong. What I mentioned earlier, and what is very crucial here, is that it's based on not always on rational decisions, although rational thinking is very important. The more joyful we are, and this is the proof of science, the more able I am to use my mind. My mind doesn't really want to work in the times of stress. In times of stress and fear, I'm not able to do simple things. But when I'm joyful, when I'm hopeful, when I'm filled with love, I'm able to solve extremely difficult problems. And this is something that we are kind of trying to reach. It's hard to do this immediately. It takes time. It takes a healing period, but it takes that understanding of direction. Because if you don't have a direction, if you don't have a certain goal, that there will be time when it will be all right, then you feel depressed. Oh, nothing works. This is the end. I don't want to live. Life is meaningless. That's depression. Sometimes it needs to be treated in a medical way, of course. And there are already means to do that, to help you get out of that state of depression. But once you're out of it, then you can build your confidence, your trust, your hope, your belief system, and then your prayer life, and your sense of love and joy, so that you, even in times when nothing has meaning, you understand that there is meaning, and I have a place in this world to do something that I'm called by God to do at this moment.
Thank you further for your explanation. And while I was listening to you, a few things come to my mind. First one is when we're speaking about resilience, this concept is really pro-Christian, I would say. It's even more, it's rooted in Christianity, because when you're trying to become resilient and trying to support others, you have to show them love, hope, and bring them joy, which is extremely important in a time of a war. But we all know that every spring needs a source. It has its own source, and more you give to others, it means you will need more to fulfill the emptiness. I would say I will use this term. So in Christian context, when we're speaking about the giving to others, dedicating your lifetime, your strengths, your best qualities, how to avoid this, let's say, feeling of situations when you feel yourself empty, or it's a normal for Christians to experience such a things from time to time. Is it okay for Christians, or it's something unusual? And if you faced with such a situation in your life, how to deal with that from Christian perspective?
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, there's this popular word, being burned out. Yes, I understand what you are asking for.
Oh, sorry for interrupting you. I was trying to avoid, psychological terms. So I was trying to using more of the theological term.
Absolutely, emptiness and being forsaken. Yeah, these are profound words. Well, as myself, I can speak about my own experience, and as you know, that every person once in a while has a certain revelation. I had one of the revelations several years ago, when I realized that, and this comes to this sense of rhythm and being able to fulfill that void, that emptiness that sometimes appears when you constantly give and you give and you give, and then you, at some point, you understand that you have nothing to give anymore. But my revelation that I received through reading again Bible and communicating to people, actually working on what do you call, environmental or eco-theology. This is one of the things that I'm involved, because it touches the whole question of harmony in the whole world, because we are, as humans, are connected certainly to not only to the other people, but also to the nature, to the things that are surrounding us. But one important revelation that I have received is a very tight connection of God's love and God's justice. It's amazing, because when we read the Psalms, we read the beginning of the creation story. God created this world in a certain rhythm: first day, second day, third day, and then there's the day of rest, the Sabbath, Shabbat. So there is this certain order in this world, and order presupposes justice and presupposes this harmony, that everything has to be connected and give and receive, give and receive. This is the law of life. And love also is about giving and receiving. Sometimes we think that love is only to give. It is important to make the first step, of course. And sometimes when you do the first step, and then you expect that somebody will respond with the same generosity, and there is no response, and then you feel kind of disappointed. But then that's where comes the divine dimension, because God's justice goes beyond the justice of man, and God will contribute or will compensate, and he does that not only further after death, after the last judgment, in the kingdom of heaven, but God does his justice even here and now. And so our calling is to work for love and also for justice. And in the times of war, one of the most expected thing is peace. We want peace, because peace will be back to normal, so to say. And peace is a state of what we would call justice, when there's again a reestablished harmony. And here where love comes back, because love helps us fix the justice. Love, this is something that one of the scholars, theologians, modern day theologians, Thomas Massaro, for instance, comes into my mind. That's what he's talking about. He says that when there is a brokenness, that's where love comes in to heal. But God's love heals not for us to stay lazy and then do nothing, but it actually encourages us to come back to the giving and receiving, to this exchange of life, reciprocity, and mutuality, so to say. So that's where the ability to re-establish the sense of goodness and sense of emotional satisfaction comes in. So when I do something only for my own sake, that's where it's very limited. One of the early Christian church fathers, the commentators of the Bible from the 3rd century, Clement of Alexandria, says that once you help the needy, not for the sake of yourself, because you feel then, oh, I'm such a noble man because I have something, I have a surplus of goods and I can share those surplus with somebody. But I actually find a face, a reflection of God in the needy, and I'm helping that person. I'm helping not only that person, but I'm helping God's image, God who is in that person. Then God will restore, will give you back what you gave to that person in 30 times, in 60 times, in 100 times. So that there's this kind of a economy of exchange that is very profitable, so to say. So the sustainable Christian charity works not only, as we say, to give fish to the poor, but it's to give the fishing net to those who need. So to make the people through our communication, through food and medicine and spiritual aid, be healed, at least to the degree that they're becoming self-sustainable, that they can take care of themselves, that they not only can take care of themselves, but they start helping others. So this is the therapy of love. This is the therapy of spiritual way to through love, through prayer, through action, help other people reestablish their own dignity, their own sort of strength, resilience, so that we create a community of people who help each other and then flourish and can reestablish the whole country. Even after the war, we will have to rebuild this country. Who will rebuild? The people with the vision, the people with big heart, and the people with strength, not necessarily economic strength or physical strength, but that strength of spirit, strength of values, strength of right way to do this, the way in which every person is dignified, every person is giving respect and attention.
Father, thank you for such an inspiring talk. Thank you for your time, and there was a pleasure to have you as one of the speakers in this set of resilience talks. And I do hope that we'll meet in Ukraine sooner or later and continue our conversation. Thank you again for your time, for your openness, for your such an inspiring conversation, talks, and uh, insights that you gave us during this conversation.
Well, thank you again. Thank you as well from the bottom of my heart. I wish you well, and I wish that these conversations will be heard by other people and receive a little bit of inspiration for themselves. And we hope for the peace in Ukraine, peace throughout the world, a just peace, but also the world in which every human life is dignified and respected. Thank you.